Ladies and gents, how you doing? I know I said I was done with the BBC yesterday. However, for the last 3 days this has gone on. The mental gymnastics by those on the left, the last 72 hours, has been genuinely astounding. It's not even mental gymnastics. Eugene Toombs couldn't bend himself up in this position. It's mental teleportation. It's the maddest thing I've ever seen. So I'm just going to do a highlight reel of what all the left-wing figures have been saying for the last 3 days, trying to claim that splicing clips together isn't a big deal, or that because the intent was there, it doesn't really matter if you just outright lie about the President of the United States. Or that the BBC's definitely impartial. That's why James O'Brien, Ed Davey, and every single far-left extremist is now defending them. And not a single person right of David Cameron is defending them. Yeah, that definitely proves they're impartial, doesn't it? But before I get to that, I just want to give a shout out to my old pal Nick Buckley, who covered this appalling story that I haven't got time to cover because, foreigners murdering English women and children is now a daily occurrence. So I can't do it myself. I haven't got the time. So I want to give a shout out to Nick Buckley. Go and watch his video about it. And then I also want to give myself a plug for my astonishing prescience, because you will remember about 3 days ago when I first heard about another murder when a woman got stabbed in the neck. I believe she was only injured at the time. I made a joke about it on a stream and said something like, I bet this is an English fella, called Adibiweyo Agabadabebo. And turns out, if you look at the story, Adidabo Adegabola, I was basically almost exactly right. Mystic Meg has got nothing on me. Okay, the secret is, by the way, if anyone's wondering, you just spew out incoherent amounts of vowels if you want to come up with the name of a recently imported mass murderer or kiddie fiddler, and you're probably going to be 80% of the way there. So that's how it's done. There's no real... I don't want to trick you like I'm like one of those mediums who pretends to be communicating with the dead. No. It's just incoherent gibberish with a lot of vowels in it. And yeah, you're almost there 9 times out of 10. On to the story at hand. The left-wing machine is terrified because Trumpy Bear, God bless him, has said he's going to sue the BBC for $1 billion and possibly achieve what I, alas, could not achieve in my 10-year crusade against the BBC, which is completely destroy the world's worst fake news organisation, the taxpayer-funded propaganda outfit known as the BBC. Frankly, I'm astounded that the rest of the civilised world doesn't see things my way on account of the fact they're covered up for industrial-scale child torture, murder and sexual abuse for at least 15 years. So it's a bit weird that it's not a perfectly mainstream, normal position that it would be a good thing if the President of the United States called in an airstrike and had A10 strafing Broadcasting House while Match of the Day was going out live. All right, not a controversial thing to say. I'm sure you'll agree. What, quarter of a million children ruthlessly tortured and abused while the BBC knew about it and didn't say anything? Come on, lads. Anyway, the funny part of this story isn't the primary headline relating Donald Trump's lawsuit. No, the funny part of this story is the insane Simone Biles after 12 raps of whiz, gymnastics, that the mentally ill wokists have been engaging in for the last 3 days, because honest to God, some of these tweets will make you laugh out loud, and obviously I can read you my responses and we'll have a good chuckle together. Lewis Goodall reeled off a load of things slightly similar and inferring slightly similar things that Trump said, and come to the conclusion that therefore it didn't really matter if you spliced 2 separate clips together and totally misrepresented him. And my response to that was very simple. Lewis, if you came on my channel and I interviewed you and at some point you said, I really love my kids, Mr. Bootneck, and then 53 minutes later, you also said, I think Boris Johnson's a bit of a cock. If I then waited until you left, downloaded the video, put it into an editing suite, because this is all the hoops you've got to jump through to make this happen, went into the editing suite, put the 2 clips up there, and then spliced them together so that instead of you saying, I really love my kids, Mr. Bootneck, and then an hour later saying, Boris Johnson's a bit of a cock, I actually had you broadcasting out into the world on a YouTube short, I love cock, Mr. Bootneck. Would you have a problem with that? Would you think that was dishonest? Lewis. Would you? 'Cause I suspect you would. Ed Davey, as you might expect, has been defending the BBC with the heart of a lion. I didn't think he had it in him. Trump wants to destroy the BBC and take our money. The BBC's been taking our money for 50 years. How much money's Trump took off you? What do you mean, take our money? And then, famous self-loathing sparrow-born soy boy that he is, he then says all true patriots should tell them hands off. Really? You're a patriot, Ironhead. You hate everything about our country, and you're a patriot. He also said this: it's easy to see why Trump wants to destroy the world's #1 news source, according to him. According to him, he's like one of those really clingy mothers who pushes the pram in your direction and say, isn't he handsome? And the kid in there looks like sloth 10 minutes after his mum dropped him and the swelling's just coming up. It's unbelievable. My rebuttal to this was quite simple. Riddle me this, Uncle Fester. If the BBC is impartial, why are no right-wingers defending it? And why are no woke people attacking it? If it was remotely impartial, surely both sides of the aisle would be criticising it or defending it, right? That is too logical for a man like Ed Davey to understand. But as 220 people can clearly see, the logic is irrefutable. If it was even remotely impartial, you'd get like 70% of lefties defending it and 30% of right-wingers defending it. But you don't. You don't even get people like Boris Johnson, wet centrist Boris Johnson, defending it. The only people you see defending the BBC now are left-wing extremists. James O'Brien, Benjamin Butterworth. Oh yeah, I've got one of him as well. The reason these people hate the BBC is precisely because it's impartial. And it doesn't soft soap right-wingers. The right has always hated the BBC because of its commitment to truth. So why is a left-wing extremist praising it then? Why? Benjamin Butterworth is 10 steps left of anybody in Parliament. That's how far left Benjamin Butterworth is. And he's praising it to the skies. Find me one right-wing BBC employee. Find me one right-wing person who's saying, oh, actually, the BBC is quite impartial. Peter Hitchens isn't a particularly right-wing fella, is he? He's like an old-school conservative chap. Perfectly reasonable. He's not an ethnat or anything. And you don't see him saying anything nice about the BBC. Oh yeah, and Leo Kearse shared an interesting political compass of the employees on Radio 4. Yeah, there it is, look. Political worldviews of BBC Radio 4 comedians. Look at that and tell me, impartial. Wet Jeff Norcott and wet Simon Evans. Perfectly, I mean, I like the pair of them, but they're not mega right-wing, are they? They're like centre-right, middle of the road, reasonable chaps you could put on Question Time or something. Look at the left. Nish Kumar. He's presented like 3 separate shows for the BBC. He did the Daily Mash, and he's done 2 different news shows on Radio 4. Robin Ince, Rosie Jones, Marcus Brigstock. Look at that. You know it's an accurate chart. That is the political leanings, roughly, of the employees of the BBC. To suggest that it's impartial is ludicrous. It's as ludicrous as claiming that Harold Shipman was a perfectly good general practitioner, or that Fred West was excellent at home improvements. He wasn't. You have to be mentally ill to even make these claims with a straight face. It's ridiculous. I genuinely can't believe. I mean, we know politicians lie, but the good ones do it smoothly, like Tony Blair. It's not so brazen and in your face. The type of shit Ed Davies coming out with is completely absurd. It's like walking into Tesco, slapping your cock on the counter in front of the checkout girl, and then saying, what you talking about? I've never got my chopper out in public. You're doing it now, Baldy. Corky on 2 is another active socialist on Twitter, and I stuck my nose in this argument with a Welsh lady there. He was literally saying, ultimately, Trump did say something relatively similar to what they said, so it's totally fine to manipulate clips. Yeah. Of course it is. I'm just saying what the BBC aired, though manipulated, is supported by the facts on the day. Again, I'm not going to even try and take a right or a left stance on it. Would that argument hold up if they did it to Jeremy Corbyn? Do you think that Corky would have a problem with it? These people are beyond parody at this point. And we'll do one more, because the mind-melting hypocrisy by yet another politician is astounding to see. Monica Harding MP is the sitting MP for Esher and Walton, and the Lib Dems at this point, that's what she is, are far worse than Labour Like they are completely deranged. She says Trump and his mates are trying to destroy one of our most precious British institutions, the BBC, and we must act fast to stop them. Here's Ed Davey in The Guardian. Right, so again, The Guardian, LBC, they're all defending the BBC. You don't see the Daily Mail going, oh yeah, the BBC's mega impartial, because it isn't. And the point I made here, I think, is an excellent one, because they're all up in arms now, fake outrage, being astounded that Trump's taken on the BBC. But you know what they weren't up in arms about? Active election interference. When Obama flew over to interfere in the biggest referendum in decades in the UK, and Cameron stuck him on the telly and got him telling everyone, oh, you're all going to be at the back of the queue, that was totally fine. When the sitting president of the United States flew all the way to the UK to interfere in a British referendum, that was totally fine. And you might recall, just last year, Labour flew out hundreds of activists to go door knocking for Kamala Harris. So when they flew out hundreds of activists to actively interfere in a presidential election, that was totally fine as well, yeah. But when the BBC, who started the whole affair by lying brazenly about Mr. Trump there, about the President of the United States now, and he got angry about it because they were lying, apparently it's now beyond the pale, and he's not allowed to be upset that the BBC doctored footage and brazenly lied about it. And I think you'll agree I summed up quite neatly there. Makes loads of sense, vinegar tits. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. This is unbelievable. It's a political game. The lies, the mental gymnastics, the hypocrisy is completely off the charts. If you disagree and you think the BBC being defended only by far left extremists is proof positive that it's definitely impartial, please let me know in the comments. All right? I will pass your details along to President Trump, and hopefully he'll get you shipped off to Guantanamo Bay. All right? Because if you think that, you're probably about as dangerous as Abu Hamza is. All right? That's me for the day. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.